The chaos reportedly went down on Tuesday evening, and it wasn't your average practice drama. Things blew up after a heated afternoon session where tensions had been simmering for hours. Gabriel was struggling to connect on timing routes against the second-team defense while Sanders stood on the sideline, throwing out sharp comments about the execution that cut through the noise. Coaches noticed something was off, but kept pushing practice forward. Mistake number one. By the time the team got back to the locker room, the situation exploded like a grenade. Voices were raised, accusations flying, teammates rushing in before fists could start swinging. Veterans had to step in fast before it turned ugly, but the damage was already done. The locker room wasn't just tense, it was cracked wide open. Now here's where things get wild. Normally, the organization would clamp down hard. Internal discipline, quiet meetings, and a tight-lipped message to the public. But not this time. Within 90 minutes, detailed reports started surfacing all over national media. Reporters from different outlets somehow had identical info. Word-for-word accounts of what was said, who said it, and when. The timestamps all matched perfectly. This wasn't a coincidence. It was a coordinated hit. League execs immediately saw the pattern and recognized the fingerprints. The leak came straight from inside the coaching staff. And according to multiple insiders, it wasn't just anyone. Head coach Kevin Stefanski himself allegedly greenlit the disclosure. This wasn't some emotional slip-up either. Insiders say it was a cold, calculated move. A last-ditch attempt to shift the spotlight, expose the chaos inside the organization, and force the front office to finally act. Stefanski, reportedly worn down by owner Jimmy Haslam's nonstop push to promote Sanders over Gabriel, decided to go nuclear. He gambled his reputation on blowing the whole thing wide open, because every other method had failed spectacularly. He's torching every bridge in sight while waving a massive distress flare for the whole league to see. This is coaching authority's last stand, a desperate swing in an unwinnable battle. And the fallout, it was instant and explosive. Within minutes, social media turned into a circus, and Cleveland was the main attraction. Twitter went wild. Hashtags like hashtag locker room leak, hashtag Stefanski out, and hashtag QB chaos dominated the national feed. The whole situation turned into a digital bonfire, with millions of impressions flooding timelines. NFL fans everywhere piled on, roasting the Browns like never before. Memes went viral showing Stefanski as a leaking faucet, Sanders and Gabriel as squabbling school kids, and owner Jimmy Haslam as the clueless puppet master pulling tangled strings. It was brutal, and it spread fast. For Cleveland's long-suffering community, this wasn't just entertainment. It was heartbreak in real time. These fans have endured decades of quarterback disappointments, coaching disasters, and ownership meltdowns. Their patience is gone, their hope drained, and now, before the season even starts, they're watching another collapse unfold right before their eyes. Inside the team, the shock was just as deep. Veteran players were stunned to see private locker room moments plastered across national headlines. One defensive captain told local reporters, "What happens in the locker room is supposed to stay in the locker room." The fact this got out tells you everything about the state of this team. That quote hit like a warning shot. Trust inside the building had officially shattered. Sources say several offensive linemen even confronted team leadership, demanding answers about who leaked the info. Because in any successful organization, trust is invisible currency. Once it's gone, good luck getting it back. Stefanski may have thought this leak was a smart strategic move, but insiders now call it what it really was. A desperate gamble that crossed every professional line imaginable. The media reaction was instant and vicious. Every major outlet lit up with outrage, and ESPN wasted no time tearing into Kevin Stefanski's leadership. Analysts openly questioned whether he had any credibility left in that locker room. One commentator didn't hold back during a live broadcast, saying, "If this leak really came from Stefanski's side, it's the end of trust with Shedeur Sanders. A quarterback can't lead if his own coach is sabotaging him off the field." That line went viral within minutes. Former players were just as stunned. Disbelief spread across social media as ex-NFL stars blasted what looked like outright betrayal from the coaching staff. Over on NFL Network, the panel dissected every angle of the decision, comparing it to some of the worst leadership collapses in league history. By the end of the segment, there was a clear consensus. Stefanski had just committed professional suicide by turning on his own quarterback in public. But here's where it gets messy. Behind the scenes, some league insiders whispered a very different story. One that paints Stefanski less like a villain and more like a man trapped in an impossible situation. According to multiple reports, he's been battling relentless ownership interference ever since draft night. Sources claim owner Jimmy Haslam practically ordered that Shedeur Sanders be given the starting job, even though the coaching staff's evaluations heavily favored Gabriel. That power shift flipped the entire team dynamic upside down. Coaches lost control, the front office overstepped constantly, and the chain of command completely collapsed. Insiders say Stefanski tried for months to handle it quietly, setting up private meetings, pitching compromise plans, even suggesting clearer communication protocols. But every attempt was shot down. When nothing worked, he apparently decided the nuclear option was his last bit of leverage. And from Sanders' perspective, it's just as ugly. The young quarterback came to Cleveland expecting a fair shot, solid leadership, and a stable environment. Instead, he walked straight into a storm. A locker room divided, a coaching staff that didn't want him, and an organization so dysfunctional it might destroy his career before it even truly begins. Now the story takes an even darker turn, because the coach allegedly weaponized private conflict for his own political gain. Insiders claim Shedeur Sanders was devastated, blindsided by betrayal that went way beyond normal football disagreements. One source close to him reportedly said, Shedeur came here to win, to prove the doubters wrong, to show he could be the guy. Instead, he's dealing with high school drama from people who should know better. That quote spread like wildfire, and it said everything. What makes this mess even more tragic is that both quarterbacks actually earned respect during camp. They both showed real NFL-level talent. Gabriel turned heads with his clean mechanics, precise footwork, sharp reads, and fast decision-making that gave the offense rhythm and structure. His completion rate against starting defenses stayed above 70%, a huge feat in pro-style drills. Coaches praised his preparation, discipline, and steady communication. They trusted him because he was predictable, reliable, and he fit their system like a glove. But Sanders, he's the kind of player that makes people stop and stare. His arm strength is elite. He fires passes with insane velocity and can drop dimes deep downfield without breaking a sweat. That deep ball accuracy has already become his signature, threading throws into tight windows against aggressive coverage that most quarterbacks wouldn't even dare to attempt. Sure, he still battles with blitz recognition and protection adjustments, but when the pocket collapses, his instincts kick in. His improvisation turns chaos into fireworks, creating explosive plays out of nothing. And through all the noise, through all the leaks and politics, Sanders has kept his cool. His focus hasn't wavered. His effort hasn't dipped. That kind of mental toughness is rare. It's the mark of a real franchise quarterback, not a media-made illusion. But here's the gut punch. All that talent might mean nothing now. The locker room chaos, the leaked conflicts, and the shattered trust have thrown both quarterbacks' futures into uncertainty. No matter how gifted they are, development can't survive in a building that's burning from the inside out. Reports say Shedeur Sanders is now questioning whether Cleveland is even worth sticking around for. Sources close to him claim his camp has quietly started exploring options, checking out potential trade scenarios and measuring which franchises actually have stability. Around the league, insiders are whispering that the situation in Cleveland might already be unsalvageable. Multiple reports suggest Sanders could demand a move if things don't improve fast, and that possibility has front offices on high alert. If that happens, it would be a disaster for the Browns. A complete implosion before the relationship even gets off the ground. Losing a generational quarterback talent because of internal chaos and poor management, that's the kind of move that haunts franchises for decades. But this isn't just a Cleveland problem anymore. It's reshaping how the entire NFL looks at coaching ethics. Across the league, organizations are quietly reviewing their locker room confidentiality rules, leak prevention strategies, and internal dispute protocols. Coaches are asking themselves one hard question. Did Kevin Stefanski just cross a line that should never be crossed? Front offices are debating how far a coach can go before it becomes sabotage. And even the NFL Players Association has reportedly stepped in, keeping a close eye on the mess in Cleveland and considering whether they'll need to intervene to protect players' rights and reputations. Meanwhile, the fans are completely divided. Gabriel supporters have rallied behind Stefanski, claiming Sanders' entitled attitude forced the coach's hand. They praise Gabriel's preparation, professionalism, and calm command of the system, but Sanders' defenders aren't buying it. They're calling out the coaching staff's blatant bias, accusing the team of unprofessional conduct and organizational corruption. The arguments have gotten ugly. Social media threads turning toxic, podcasts turning into shouting matches, and Cleveland's fan base splitting down the middle. The division now runs so deep, it mirrors the chaos inside the Browns' own locker room, a team tearing itself apart from the top down. And while everyone's talking, owner Jimmy Haslam's silence is deafening. And that silence might be the loudest message of all. Insiders say owner Jimmy Haslam is furious about the leak, and not just annoyed but personally offended. He apparently sees it as a direct challenge to his authority, a line in the sand that someone dared to cross. This situation has ripped open an old wound inside the Browns organization, the long-running power struggle between football operations and ownership control. Haslam's known for being a hands-on owner, some say too hands-on. He's the type to inject himself into roster decisions, draft choices, even quarterback competitions. Traditional boundaries don't seem to apply when he's involved. On the other side, Kevin Stefanski represents the old-school football order. Coaches evaluate talent, decide who plays, and set consequences. Those two philosophies have been colliding quietly for years, and now, thanks to this leak, the whole world finally sees the chaos it's caused. Caught in the middle is general manager Andrew Berry, and his position might be the toughest in the entire NFL right now. Sources say he spent months trying to broker peace between Haslam and Stefanski, pitching compromise after compromise, only to watch every one of them fall apart. Now he's standing in the fallout zone, trying to hold the organization together while both sides dig in deeper. According to reports, Berry privately leans toward supporting Sanders, but has to publicly defend the coach's authority to keep the locker room from collapsing completely. It's a dangerous balancing act, and one that can't last much longer. League executives are watching closely, questioning whether Berry can maintain control or if Cleveland's front office is already beyond repair. The long-term damage is already spreading fast. Free agents are reportedly second-guessing whether they want any part of this mess, even with big money on the table. Agents are advising their clients to stay away from Cleveland until leadership issues are resolved. The franchise's reputation, once full of promise, has been shredded in one catastrophic moment. A single leak that exposed years of dysfunction the Browns could no longer hide. Right now, Cleveland's roster is stacked with talent, but it's all being wasted under the weight of pure organizational chaos. This team was built for a championship run, a defense crafted through smart draft picks, savvy free agent moves, and innovative schemes that turned them into one of the league's most dangerous units. On offense, the front office finally assembled real weapons, the kind of supporting cast built to explode right out the gate. But instead of chasing wins, the Browns are stuck battling each other before the season even kicks off. Inside the locker room, frustration is boiling over. Defensive players are sick of watching the offense self-destruct, saying the drama is ruining their focus. Offensive linemen feel trapped, split between loyalty to two different quarterbacks, unsure who they're even supposed to protect anymore. Special teams players are quietly watching the chaos unfold, trying not to get caught in the crossfire. Meanwhile, divisional rivals like Cincinnati, Baltimore, and Pittsburgh are licking their chops. Their defensive coordinators are reportedly studying Cleveland's dysfunction in detail, ready to exploit every weakness and every leadership gap. Opposing teams see what's happening, and they're going to use it against them. Expect those divisional games to get nasty, with rivals turning Cleveland's confusion into a full-blown advantage. Leadership cracks are blood in the water, and the AFC North smells it. And if the on-field problems weren't enough, the media storm has turned into a feeding frenzy. National reporters have flooded Cleveland, searching for any scrap of new drama. Local journalists are juggling conflicting sources. Former players are firing off hot takes, and every practice clip becomes headline material. Twitter is a battlefield of speculation. YouTube creators are breaking down every sideline glance. Reddit threads are dissecting drills frame by frame, and TikTok is turning Cleveland's dysfunction into viral comedy. The Browns' controversy has become an entire media ecosystem, thriving on disaster, feeding on dysfunction, and growing bigger with every misstep. It's chaos turned into entertainment. And unless someone steps in to fix this immediately, that chaos might be the only thing the Browns win this season. Right now, the Browns are standing at a crossroads, and every possible path comes with chaos attached. Scenario 1, Kevin Stefanski gets fired immediately. That would restore some locker room trust, but destroy coaching continuity just weeks before the season starts. Scenario 2, Shedeur Sanders is traded away. A move that might silence the controversy, but would also expose one of the worst talent evaluation failures in franchise history. Scenario 3, Jimmy Haslam finally steps back or even sells the team entirely, clearing the way for a clean slate and a chance to rebuild without constant interference. The problem? None of these outcomes are clean wins. Each one comes with serious consequences that could haunt the Browns for years. Training camp is over. The regular season is closing in fast. And even though the roster still looks stacked on paper, it doesn't matter. Dysfunction has buried the potential under a mountain of mistrust. Because here's the brutal truth. Without structure, without hierarchy, and without respect between leadership and players, talent means nothing. League history proves it over and over. Great teams aren't just built on athletic ability, they're built on alignment, trust, communication, shared purpose, and right now, Cleveland has none of that. What Stefanski allegedly did, leaking private locker room drama to the media, shattered one of football's most sacred codes. No matter his reasons, that kind of betrayal cuts deep. Confidentiality is the heartbeat of every team. Once it's broken, the entire operation starts to collapse. Players stop believing, staff stop cooperating, and the organization loses its soul. If Cleveland wants to survive this mess, someone has to step up, fast. Painful decisions are coming, and they'll probably alienate almost everyone involved. Whether Haslam finally admits the dysfunction or keeps pretending it's under control, and whether Stefanski somehow survives his professional self-destruction or gets cut loose. One thing's certain, the Browns are out of time, and the next move will define their entire future. Whether Shedeur Sanders stays or demands a trade, this situation has gone far beyond a simple quarterback battle. It's a full-blown organizational collapse playing out in real time. The Browns aren't just fighting over who should start under center, they're fighting for the very identity of their franchise. One heartbroken fan summed it up perfectly online, posting, "We're not just losing games, we're losing Shedeur Sanders." And if Stefanski really leaked this, he should be fired today. That raw frustration echoes through the entire city of Cleveland. Once again, another season that started with so much hope is circling the drain, sacrificed on the altar of dysfunction. Another roster loaded with talent wasted, another coaching staff tearing itself apart, another ownership regime proving it still doesn't understand how real football operations are supposed to work. Fans aren't just angry anymore, they're exhausted. The big question now is whether this organization can even recover. Because when teams in similar chaos hit this point, history shows what happens. They clean house completely. Coaches, execs, everyone gone. They hit reset and start from scratch. That's the only way to rebuild trust and identity. And maybe that's exactly what Cleveland needs before it's too late. But instead of fixing it, the Browns seem stuck in self-destruction mode. Chaos, betrayal, and open battle inside their own building. And in a division loaded with monsters like Joe Burrow's Bengals and Lamar Jackson's Ravens, this kind of dysfunction isn't just embarrassing, it's fatal to their playoff hopes. Make no mistake, the Browns' problems aren't just about who plays quarterback. The leak, the infighting, the confusion, they're all symptoms of a deeper disease that's been festering for years. The constant clash between ownership control and coaching autonomy. Now it's exploded into the public eye, confirming what fans and insiders have whispered about for ages. This isn't the end of the story. It's the beginning of a full-on reckoning. The regular season is closing in fast, and every day that passes without action digs the Browns' hole a little deeper. The situation in Cleveland has officially reached breaking point. Kevin Stefanski has allegedly crossed a line that no coach should ever cross, and the fallout is tearing the entire franchise apart. Shedeur Sanders is reportedly exploring exit options. Dillon Gabriel is stuck right in the middle of a full-blown organizational battle, and Jimmy Haslam's silence is louder than any statement he could make. General Manager Andrew Berry's position has become impossible. The locker room is shattered beyond repair, and the fan base is locked in vicious division. Meanwhile, the media frenzy grows stronger every single day. Reporters circling like sharks, headlines twisting tighter around a team unraveling in real time. Professional football runs on structure, on trust, hierarchy, and discipline, but the Browns have flipped that completely upside down. Instead of order, there's chaos. Instead of trust, betrayal. Ownership meddling, coaching desperation, leaked secrets, player conflict. It's all out in the open now, and there's no going back. The NFL is watching closely as another once promising roster crumbles right before their eyes. This was supposed to be the season, the one where Cleveland's defense dominated. The offense finally clicked, and playoff dreams became reality. But now, those dreams are dust. One alleged coaching leak shattered everything, exposing dysfunction, destroying relationships, and turning a comeback year into a crisis. Because this isn't about quarterbacks anymore. It's about identity. Winning in the NFL takes more than just talent. It demands structure, unity, and leadership that respects boundaries. It takes a culture that protects trust instead of weaponizing it. The Cleveland Browns have become the perfect cautionary tale. A franchise collapsing not from lack of skill, but from the catastrophic breakdown of everything that holds a team together. And just like that, Cleveland's quarterback controversy has exploded into something far bigger than football. What started as an internal competition has turned into a full-blown public relations nightmare, an organizational implosion. that could change the franchise forever. All of it allegedly triggered by a single calculated leak from the head coach himself, a betrayal that shattered sacred locker room confidentiality and set fire to everything this team was supposed to stand for. This isn't just unusual, it's catastrophic. The Browns now face a reckoning on every level. Kevin Stefanski faces the fallout of his own choices. Shedeur Sanders faces a career-defining decision. Dillon Gabriel faces the chaos of uncertainty. Jimmy Haslam faces tough questions about accountability. And the entire Cleveland Browns organization stands on the edge of an identity crisis before a single real snap of the season has even been played. If you've been following this madness, don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, share, and we'll see you on the next one.